Queen AZSHARA, wasted villain or prophetical poster hero of midnight, avatar incarnate of Azeroth herself, and why her story mirrors the Blue Child in the Tale of the Embrace. World of Warcraft Midnight promises that players will help reunify the scattered elven tribes of Azeroth as we defend Quel'Thalas and the Sunwell from the forces of the Void. This tag has brought AZSHARA to the forefront of many players' minds when it comes to her return in Midnight, with speculation abound that she will lead the invading forces as a villain once again. But isn't the villain trope feeling a bit played out for AZSHARA at this point? How does it serve her character to have her return once more as a big purple baddie? And what would we do with her after? Well, what if I told you that one of the most iconic characters of this franchise is about to get the biggest glow-up in recent history? Stay tuned to find out all of that and more.
I can get behind that.
Since the dawn of time, the Mother Moon has stood watch in the night sky over sweet, slumbering Azeroth, while the mighty sun held its post during the light of day. For long and long, the two acted together in a dance of shadow and light.
So I love it because the story itself is referring to Musha more as shadow and Anshe more as light. They portray Musha more as life via Elune. At least they try to give that impression. But the more that we see of Elune, the more it seems like maybe Elune is connected with like the cosmic void. So for her to be Shadow from the rip makes way more sense in my opinion. And honestly, Shadow and Life together is fine, but definitely Shadow.
As they nurtured and guarded the world below. The Lady Moon loved Azeroth deeply, and all of its people from afar. And from her love and ponderings of its power was born to her a daughter, the Blue Child. Even the old stories do not tell us how, but we know this much. Out of the lady's love for us, the child, small and blue and marvelous, came into being. It is said that this was the most joyous time that the cosmos had ever known. The stars shone brighter than ever before, and even Azeroth smiled in her deep sleep. All rejoiced in the birth of the child, most of all the Mother Moon. And for long and long they skipped together across the night sky. But one day, the child began to have questions for her mother.
What was I before I was with you?
You are all I had longed for. You were the tears I wept, the dreams I dreamed, the sighs I breathed, and the hope I held in my loneliest heart.
And what am I now?
You are the fulfillment of my hopes, the answer to my cries, a blessing so bright I could not even have imagined you to be as you are.
Then came more, and these questions weighed on her mother's heart.
Mother, these people we watch over each night, are they like us?
They are, and they are not. They are mortals.
What is a mortal?
They are here for a time, and then they are not.
What happens to them?
But the mother did not know the answer to this question, and so remained silent. On the second night, the child had a new question.
Lady Mother, these mortals whom we see each night, can we descend from above them and meet them ourselves?
No, we cannot. We must stay here and watch over sweet Azeroth as she dreams.
What does Azeroth dream about?
And again she did not know the answer, remaining silent once more. And it was the same on the third night.
Lady Mother, what was I before I became myself?
Ah, now you have asked a question to which I know the answer. You were all I wished for, longed for, and dreamed of. You were the thing I loved best, even before I knew you.
Such a weird fucking response. And by the way, I think this is heavily implying that who we believe is the Blue Child, the Winter Queen, used to be something else. she ain't the fucking same thing as what she used to be. There's no way that they, in this story, have this child asking 3 fucking times, what was I? What was I? Like, something else. I think that much. It's also interesting because the story leaves the gender of the child completely ambiguous. The stories don't say that the blue child is a girl or anything like that. But we associate that because the Winter Queen. And because the picture of the blue child, because the picture of the embrace, it looks like a girl, but I can't, it's hard to tell. And so I always thought that was kind of weird. How they just don't like outright say. Because there's other blue characters. Like Amanthul is slightly blue. Argus is very blue by the time we get to him, but it's like, does that mean anything? The ambiguity of the gender might not mean anything at all, but I just think it's interesting. Maybe it's a reference to Loki. She was stolen away from the shadows. I think it's also like a Persephone thing. She's the lowest manifestation of the triple goddess. And she's basically, I think, maybe even a prisoner or a runaway to the Shadowlands kind of deal. Yeah.
Loving you makes me happy.
The child looked solemnly at her mother, then asked in a voice so sad, puzzled, and pure that it would make even the coldest heart melt.
What do I
Coldest
need
heart.
to make me happy?
But the Mother Moon did not know her daughter was not happy, nor did she know what would make the child so. As she had the nights before, the lady stayed silent, except this time tears fell from her pale, glowing face to land heavily on the surface of the drowsing world below. The next evening, when the White Lady awoke from her slumber, she turned to smile at her daughter, only to find an empty sky. The blue child was gone. For long and long,
Maybe the embrace
mother
says
was alone
daughter.
once more.
I think
Her
that
fear
might
and
say daughter in
anguish
that. I think
harming
Eyes
the
of the
world
Earth
as
Mother
she
leaves it
grieved for her
ambiguous.
daughter's disappearance. Though in time, the child would return.
And this is the
Skipping
embrace.
across the sparkling night sky, she leaped to embrace her mother. The lady blazed, and
Yeah,
the
'cause
child clung
I would
to
say, I don't know. I mean, I would say that the likeliness of the blue child being intentionally depicted as a girl is higher than not. But yeah. And the Winter Queen fits, I mean, immensely well. The difference is that in the embrace, Elune is the Winter Queen's mother, and Musha is Lo Shou's mother, is what I should be saying, and not her sister. So people always say, like, okay, well, Pyro, which is it? Is it sister? Is it mother? Is it? Well, when we're talking about gods, it can, in a weird ass way, sometimes it can be both. Because technically, if you're, yeah, we're not going to get into that. We're not getting into that, how that works. But, I would say that what you hear from the characters directly is probably going to be the most reliable, because you have one story saying that the Earth Mother created the Blue Child. You have one story saying that Musha created the Blue Child, and then you have the in-game perspective of the Winter Queen calling Elune her sister. So I think I would probably go with what she's saying, but there's also always a possibility that her understanding of the connection with her sister is limited. For instance, the Winter Queen says, like, we cried for aid and no one responded. You didn't fucking hear. So what that implies to me is that the Winter Queen doesn't have a lot of sight or anything beyond Ardenweald, right? I think Ardenweald is pretty clearly like her domain, and I think that anything happening outside of it is probably pretty limited access for her. So if something like, let's say for instance, right, she thought that Elune like abandoned her, right? But Elune didn't feel that way. She said, no, I heard your cries, I felt your pain, But in the, in the wake of this horrible fucking thing, I sent all these souls here. I just think it's interesting because the sisters are being left with limited perspectives of one another. And maybe that doesn't matter because maybe they truly know each other and what each other is and who they are and all that stuff more than we do. But I just think it is fascinating to consider the possibility that maybe something happened to Elune that the Winter Queen's like not even aware of, like if Elune was working with or being controlled by or manipulated by the Titans or vice versa, would either of them know that? Like, would Elune know if the Titans had stolen the blue child away? Because I'm pretty sure that's where this story goes, is she ends up getting pissed off and asking the stars, like, where the fuck did the blue child go? They don't know. And then she goes to Anshe. He doesn't fucking know. And I just think I don't know. I think it's a little bit suspect, I guess, because Elune flat out says that the stars can like go and see places that even she can't go. They have friends and can go pretty much. She says the many, I'm paraphrasing, the many places which you can go. And so it's like, okay, if the Titans can kind of go around which I also think implies like, yeah, they can go to the Shadowlands, they can go to the Dream, they can be in reality. Like the Titans do not adhere to domain restrictions at all. And what by that I mean, like the Winter Queen stays in Ardenweald, right? Carestia stays in Bastion, right? The Primus is supposed to stay in Maldraxxus, but he spends most of his time in the Maw controlling his brother. But the Titans do that. The Titans will invade other realms. They don't give a fuck. They'll not only invade them, but they'll order them. Like they don't stay in their domain, which is very fucking scary. But anyway, it makes me think about like, is it possible that the Titans or someone kind of stole away the Winter Queen? Muzela could also be directly involved with that, with Bwansamdi and their history as well. And also, of course, the jailer. The Greek Hades, I think, would be extremely relevant to this whole discussion as well as Persephone, as we were discussing. So what if Xal'atath was the blue child? Yeah, I just need some evidence of that.
The child spoke of her travels, of speaking with distant
And the purple moon-looking thing in her eyes is not enough evidence.
stars, dancing with other moons and suns, traveling to worlds upon worlds. She had even watched sweet Azeroth, studying the children of our world. And the Mother Moon saw that the blue child had grown wise, as all children must grow. She returned to the lady more than simply a mother's daughter. She was a person all her own. Such is the story of the Embrace, a glimpse into a tale for the children of Azeroth to recount and ponder the nature and patterns of the moon and her family.
Welcome back, heroes. I'm your host, Xaxxas, and today we're going cosmic once more, and finally dealing with the Magnetar in the room, the Blue Child. You may have noticed that this iconic feature of Azeroth's sky has gone entirely unmentioned so far during the course of the Elune Truth Saga. Well, with the context you've now been provided, we can seamlessly drop the mother of all truth bombs and round out the expansive theory we promised all those weeks ago. Today's report: Queen AZSHARA's redemption, poster hero of Midnight, and the allegory of the Embrace, prodigal child of light and shadow. To begin understanding this mystery, we'll first have to recall the life of AZSHARA, both her reign as Highborn Queen of the Kaldori and as tyrannical Empress of the Cursed Naga, a classic hero's journey in the making. Beautiful and wise beyond her years, Queen AZSHARA embodied the most coveted traits of her people. Born with golden eyes that at that time was seen as a sign of great destiny. She indulged in all sorts of sorcerous pursuits and constructed a breathtaking bejeweled palace on the shores of the Well of Eternity. There, the most powerful highborn nobles answered to her every beck and call. Night elves of every social standing adored her, and they were so enamored with their queen that they renamed their capital city of Elundris to AZSHARA.
Would? Dude, if you wouldn't, then we got problems, bro. Anyone who wouldn't with Queen Ashara is a fucking liar, dude. They're a fucking... I don't even care if you're not even into women. I don't give a shit. You would. All right? You would. We all would. I don't even care. It's true. It's just the truth. There's a fun little fan pet theory that's rather unsubstantiated but fun to think about, the possibility of Queen Ashara being the mother of Illidan and Malfurion. And I would so fuck with that, dude. You have no idea. And then people would say, well, who would the father be? And people hate the fucking answer, dude. It would be Neltharion. But it would be nice fractals, dude, because Ashara, Azeroth, Illidan with the golden eyes, Anshe with the gold and the fire, probably, like the sun. Malfurion with the silver eyes, right? Like the moon, like Elune. You got twins, bore from the mother. And then you got Sargeras, you got Daddy Neltharion. You got Daddy Neltharion going in. Oh, dude. Could you imagine Ashara Stormrage? Mother of the fucking twins, bro. That'd be crazy. I'd fucking coom all over the place, bro. And she's so much like Aphrodite, it's not even funny. So I think she's got connections with Ashara as well, or with ENR as well, but whatever.
Meaning the glory of Azshara. And she was honored with such titles as Daughter of the Moon, Light of a...
Yeah, Illidan getting wings and horns. Yup. And then Malfurion being bound between the powers of life and death. Uh-huh.
1,000 moons, Queen born of the stars, and the flower of life. Under Azshara, Night Elf civilization blossomed into a sprawling empire. A dreamscape of gilded spires, vast cities, and other marvels that would not be seen again even in the modern age. In the earlier reign of Queen Azshara...
Meanwhile, Neltharion and Sargeras secluded himself away to build his army to save everyone by burning everything down. Wasn't Ashara pretty down bad for Sargeras at one point? Technically, yes. I'm not sure if they're going to continue that, but technically, yes, which is such a hilarious, like, Greek epic thing, in my opinion. For Ashara to unknowingly fall in love with her own grandfather. Oh my god, bro. That would just be... Let's just not.
She oversaw the building of the...
I'm not gonna lie, Chad. I would really fuck with it. I mean, I would totally fuck with... I'm sorry, it's probably cringe to some people, but Ashara and Neltharion being the reason for the twins and their, like, super destinies or whatever, that would be fucking insane. That would be absolutely bonkers. And to be fair, there is a common thread between Ashara and Neltharion, which is N'Zoth. So, I mean, there is that.
Even in the modern age. In the earlier reign of Queen Azshara, she oversaw the building of a wondrous new temple to Elune, named Lothar Lazal, or Seat of the Sky, which would later become Black Fathom Deeps.
Seat of the Sky. Really? I mean, that makes me think of, I mean, I'm just saying, it is literally a big seat floating in the sky. So, big seat, this Seat of the Sky, Temple of Elune. That's just an interesting name.
By all projections, she was
Unrelated.
divinely destined to rule and lead the Kaldarai, a vision of perfection in the heart of her people. A calling fit for a Daughter of the Moon. However, her devotion to Elune was either short-lived or mostly undeveloped, for there was one place that the Queen and her forces avoided. Mount Hyjal.
Bro, it doesn't make any sense, bro. I'm sorry. ENR has to be Elune. ENR is either Elune, or a face of Elune, or a fragment of Elune, or something, bro. It doesn't make any sense. You got wide-eyed ENR who does life and growth and stuff, You got the Winter Queen. They never directly see each other. It's through Tyrande invoking the vengeance of Elune. You go to Elunaria. That's where you find Ionar's spirit. You see Elune the moon floating in the distance. There's the blue child as well. It's like, what are we doing here, bro? What are we doing? The Windrunner fractal can still make sense, but like, the overlap between Ionar and Elune drives me insane, bro. Drives me insane. If Ionar was growth and order, I like that idea that someone said. The Winter Queen is life and death. Elune is life in shadow. And Ionar is life in order. I think that'd be fucking sick. And then maybe Sargeras is the fourth, the brother, life in light. I could fuck with that. He's a fire. He's flame, you know, flame life.
Spirits and demigods who roamed the Sylvan
And that would line up
forests.
with the three sisters and then the brother, Lyrath.
But there was one place that the queen and her forces avoided. Mount Hyjal. The spirits and demigods who roamed the Sylvan forests unsettled the queen. She knew in her bones that Hyjal was somehow beyond even her influence. As a display of respect to the lowborn elves, she prohibited expansion into Hyjal. In truth, she despised the mountain and the harmony it represented. And as AZSHARA turned away from the goddess, she began to obsess ever more over the Well of Eternity and its arcane secrets.
Yeah, similar thing happened to the Zandalari. Just gonna say it. Like, the same thing, I feel like, happened with the Zandalari. With their gods, with their Loa, even the Lunalai are shunned for their worship of Elune. And delve more into the orderly side of things. It's not strictly arcane, but it's a similar situation, in my opinion, a shifting from traditional ways into a more order, magically insane ways.
Yearning for greater knowledge, the queen pushed
Less on the
Highborn
Zandalari in that regard, more on the elves, obviously, with the well.
to plumb the depths of the
But who the
well.
fuck turned into the elves? Oh, right. The fucking Zandalari. So, and the Dark Trolls. Who gives a shit?
Their reckless experiments sent torrents of magic crashing through the twisting nether, drawing the eyes of the Burning Legion and their master. The first among the Highborn to hear Sargeras' call was Lord Xavius,
First
one of the
satyr.
most trusted advisors and ultimately dark mentors for the proud queen. As
Xavius is another direct bloodline, straight to the main vein connection to the Nightmare via AZSHARA and Sargeras as well. Archimonde ties into that as well.
it was him who introduced AZSHARA to Sargeras. Were it not for Xavius, perhaps AZSHARA would have defended Azeroth and her precious empire during the Legion's eventual invasion.
Fucking Xavius, Xaxxas, fucking Xalatath, fucking goddamn these X-named motherfuckers out to get us, bro.
I mean, we're talking about a guy.
Zira? What the fuck is wrong with all these characters whose names start with X? What? Anyone notice that? All these fucking evil characters' names start with X.
Who gouged his own eyes out and replaced them with rubies so he could commune with Sargeras.
It's pretty insane, bro. I think it's ebony and rubies. I think it's ebony and ruby. I could be wrong. Might just be rubies. I think it's ebony in there too. But it's interesting that he would use rubies because this comes back to the Atamal crystal, which we are going to start talking about every fucking stream because it's probably the most important relic in the entire fucking game. And there's two pieces of it, the brilliant star, the yellow shard, which calms the carrier's emotions, purifying them, allowing them clarity in their decisions. It was added in Dragonflight, a piece of lore about this thing. And the piece of lore is from this character who believes that you can use the brilliant star, which is a fragment of a Naru artifact more ancient than Velen, to commune with Sargeras himself. That's Dragonflight right there. The minority Azrael Call tracked it down and retrieved it, believing he could use it to commune with Sargeras. That's pretty wild. Then you have the other part of the Atamal crystal, one of them anyway, which is the Heart of Fury, the red shard. When possessed by an individual, it accentuates the individual's aggressiveness and strength. It was taken from Velen. Right, so again, the red portion of the crystal, and this is something that I would definitely connect with Sargeras in terms of aggressiveness and strength, and the red thing. So it's interesting that Xavius chose to use rubies in order to attempt to further commune with Sargeras. I think that's pretty fascinating.
The Legion's eventual invasion. I mean, we're talking about a guy who gouged his own eyes out and replaced them with rubies so he could commune with Sargeras. Pretty twisted stuff.
Not that far off what Illidan did, to be honest. He just had his shit burned out.
If you really think about it, by cause and effect, the Sundering was his fault, and AZSHARA was meant to be a glorious hero. We've seen a glimpse of this in the animatic short Warbringer's AZSHARA, where we see a noble, if not vain, attempt on her behalf to stave back the crashing waters of the Sundering. This beautiful cinematic portrayal of the calamity paints Queen AZSHARA in a more sympathetic light than we're used to seeing her, while still maintaining the undying pride that she is oh so famed for, as she desperately tries to save her realm from destruction. And this fish, well, what if the voice speaking to her before she falls into the water is not actually N'Zoth disguised as some random female?
No, it's her. Oh.
But Azeroth, aka Elune, speaking to her one last time before she embraced the shadows.
I would lean more to Azeroth for the Light of Lights thing. But would Azeroth have been speaking? Does that even make any sense? So much time has passed. It's kind of hard for me to like wrap my brain around that. And like at this point, only someone with probably some type of predestined connection would be able to hear something like that. It's not like Magni where she's gonna go do some Titan fucking ritual and turn into a stone man. Like, no, she would hear it because she has a divine connection. And I could fuck with that a little bit because Sargeras and Agrimar can both hear the world souls dreaming, even though it says this is one of the big inconsistencies with Chronicle. Chronicle says two things. Chronicle says that Sargeras and Agrimar can hear the dreams of world souls. They can hear the shit. It's what led Agrimar to Azeroth. He could hear. He was led there technically by the Song of Life, is what it says. And then as he approached the world, even through the din of activity across Azeroth, he could hear the dreaming world soul. But I want you guys to know, it's not having a nightmare. When Agrimar and the Titans find Azeroth, even though it's covered in old gods, it's not having a nightmare. It's dreaming. It's slumbering peacefully. Unlike the world soul that Sargeras found, which was having brutal and horrific nightmares, which makes me think it could have even been a different entity entirely. Maybe even Argus. That Sargeras came across, and maybe Argus does nightmares and maybe Azeroth does dreams. I don't know. But the fact is that that Agrimar and Sargeras could both hear the world soul. But then it also says in Chronicle that the Titans, they developed methods to ascertain whether or not a world soul was present. And both of these things could be true, but it says that this is why the Titans like ordered the world. They, divided things out. They did all that stuff to ascertain whether or not a world soul is present. And their end goal was ideally to bring that world soul to maturity. That way it would awaken. So I always found that kind of weird that like it says that the Pantheon needed to employ certain techniques to ascertain whether or not a world soul was present. But then it says also that Agrimar and Sargeras just found dreaming world souls because they can hear them. So it's like, okay. So what the fuck does that actually mean?
AZSHARA could have been a key defender of Azeroth and defeated the Burning Legion herself. But instead, Xavius...
No, she couldn't have. She couldn't have. I'm sorry, what?
AZSHARA could have been a key defender of Azeroth and defeated the Burning Legion herself. As of course we all know the story of the Sundering, the catastrophic world-changing event caused by a failed summoning of Sargeras. AZSHARA's choices in the War of the Ancients to ally with the demon lords of the Burning Legion marked a point of no return for the once adored queen. And as a permanent signifier of this crossed threshold...
Also, I like the ring around the light. That's very nice. Yeah, you know, I like what Xaxxas is saying here. I feel like the more that I watch this cinematic, the more I can see subtle allusions to Azeroth. I can fuck with this.
Crossed threshold, the world she knew and coveted was washed away. As her once thriving civilization crumbled under the waves, a new
Alright, it said she's going after the true throne of power. Where do you think that is? Azeroth.
voice spoke
For
to
sure.
her from the deep.
Do you think it's intentional to put hidden things in cinematics? Yeah. All the time. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Chained old god N'Zoth bargained with AZSHARA and gifted his power to the highborn queen and her people, granting them a second life as the wrathful Naga. As queen of the tides, AZSHARA would slowly rebuild her fallen empire, working alongside N'Zoth as a temporary but necessary ally, as she challenged the surface dwellers.
She's
of
so
Azeroth.
insanely vain.
We would not face her ourselves until patch 8.2 Rise of AZSHARA, when we found our way to Nazjatar. Like an expert catfish, she baits us through the Eternal Palace to the inmost depths of her cavernous lair, built upon the Titan-forged prison housing N'Zoth. Having waited for millennia, the Naga Queen in truth was waiting to betray her shadowy master the moment she freed him, and N'Zoth knew this all too well. Our long-awaited battle against Queen AZSHARA sees the champions of Azeroth heroically take her down, though unwittingly, the heart of Azeroth we brought with us in this ordeal unlocked the old god's chains and set him loose. As AZSHARA teeters on the brink of death, N'Zoth's shadowy tendrils ensnare her once.
It's pretty wild that our fucking... That thing activated on the Azerite stuff. It's got the blue, gold, and white in it. It's pretty wild that that's like... Basically, Azeroth's soul power was used to break the prison. I mean, that's pretty wild. N'Zoth, man.
More, reviving but caging the queen in the horrific realm of Ny'alotha. It is there that we face her subjugator and see AZSHARA herself in-game for the last time so far. As we break her bonds in exchange for the Blade of the Black Empire, which once housed Xal'atath, she reveals to us her plans to betray N'Zoth and seizes this chance for freedom. Before she departs, AZSHARA claims that she no longer has any interest in intermediaries and heralds, and that she seeks to claim the true throne of power, opening a voiding nether portal and taking to the cosmos for deeper answers. It's at this moment I'd like to call to your attention that so far we've been following a familiar, iconic, mythic tale that is told across generations of Earthling cultures. The Monomyth. Known better as the hero's journey, this framework of legendary storytelling was highlighted by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. From Star Wars to Lord of the Rings, the echoed pattern of this cyclical story can be traced in countless works of fiction. As you can see in this chart, we've found rather suitable events in AZSHARA's life that so far mark the steps of the Monomyth. And when we combine this outline with the poetic fairy tale of the Embrace, I believe we find a marvelously hidden clue to the big things coming in Midnight. Similarly adored by all, AZSHARA, Daughter of the Moon, and the Blue Child are both characterized by their desire for knowledge, paving their own road in life rather than lingering under the limitations and guidance of their mothers. Just as the Blue Child had roamed the cosmos, learning of its wonders, we now see AZSHARA on a similar path of discovery, a pursuit of understanding for the very nature of reality.
Medivh did the same thing, by the way. Medivh's doing basically the same fucking thing, and I don't think we've seen the last of him either. So that's kind of cool.
Throne of power. In Folks and Fairy Tales of Azeroth, there are two significant celestial stories recounted that involve the moons: the Embrace and the Eyes of the Earth Mother. The reader will find that these stories primarily serve as flavorful mythos around the natural physics of the moons, the sun, and Azeroth. Such things as solar and lunar eclipses, new moons, harvest moons, and all viewable celestial phenomena are interpretable through cultural lenses of the Tauren and humans, and a story is paired to the natural event to explain why it happens. What's particularly strange about the Embrace getting this treatment, however, is that it suddenly canonized what was understood to be a mistake and glitch in WoW's Skybox for many years, where the second moon, the Blue Child, just did not appear in-game. Following a weather update just before the Burning Crusade's release, the secondary blue moon of Azeroth did not appear consistently in the game's skybox until it was fixed in Mists of Pandaria, despite being visible during specific quests, like when Kalecgos was empowered by the conjunction of the two moons.
It's also so fucking weird that the blue dragon aspect gets, like, that's fucking weird. The fact that we do that during a celestial alignment's like, what the fuck?
I think it's possible that the creators of this fairy tale utilized the non-canonical glitch in order to provide an allegory to the player base. A disguised clue about a child who...
It's literally the same concept of the meta-analysis from the perspective of the people. Taking the misunderstood scientific phenomenon and explaining it with myth. Yeah. That's pretty meta, dude. I like that. It sounds to me like he's acknowledging the fact that Blizzard basically came up with their own meta mythos for a glitch happening in the game. And by this way, we have gained a deeper understanding, if you will, or alternative perspective on what was happening to explain the phenomenon that we were witnessing. That's pretty cool, dude. That's a pretty meta fucking analysis, dude. I like that a lot.
Strayed from their mother,
they did the same with the Cars Corrupted Blood.
Once more after many ages apart. And they've done so most strikingly, perhaps, in the series of questions that the Blue Child asks her mother. These questions highlight her profound desire for answers to significant concepts like, what am I? Where do I come from? And most notably, the Blue Child asks the White Lady, quote, these mortals who we see each night, can we descend from above them and meet them ourselves? I mean, what a question, and I think it's telling of where the Blue Child went during her disappearance. See, upon the child's return, she tells her mother of her travels, speaking of going to other star systems, dancing with other suns and moons, but also, somehow she had watched and learned of Azeroth and its peoples. So how did the child disappear from her mother's sight, but also learn about Azeroth at the same time? I mean, it's just a tale about a seemingly large physical moon after all, right? Well, let's zoom in on the night the child disappears and flag some interesting details. On the night that the child asks her mother, what do I need to make me happy? The White Lady cannot respond, and tears fell from her pale, glowing face to land heavily on the surface of the drowsing world below. Is it just me, or is it interesting that the same night that triggers the child's departure is marked by what seems to be describing falling stars? And of course
And when we see the tear of Elune, it's literally blue. I mean, like... The trolls call it the holy blue crystal, so, I mean, probably not a coincidence.
It's me, or is it interesting that the same night that triggers the child's departure is marked by what seems to be describing falling stars? And of course, we all know that AZSHARA is known as the queen born of the stars. Something's fishy here, and it's exactly the kind you find when dealing with Naga. This is where our predictions for AZSHARA's grand return can begin. Many argue that AZSHARA could have held her own expansion instead of being relegated to a
One thing I would have added there personally is the description of, and I think it was mentioned earlier, but I think it was paraphrased. I would include, and it might come up here, the exact description of when the blue child returns, what it says about her. Because it says that it talks about growth and how mothers need to, like, they have to, Musha was basically learning a lesson about how all children grow and they change. They become their own thing, right? It talks about how the Blue Queen had become like her own, a whole different person, essentially. And so these are other subtle hints underlying what Xaxxas is implying here, or what he's saying here, that when she returns, she will probably be different, or something will have happened, or something will have changed. AZSHARA is also a nice fit, some would say, for a Kerrigan kind of character, with transformation and stuff like that, inevitably ascending to become Xel'Naga to stop the ultimate fucking darkness at the end. So, you know, there could be something there.
Hatch villain in Battle for Azeroth, feeling unsatisfied with her lack of spotlight and rushed boss fight. And there's a certain someone we've seen get the same treatment once before. Illidan Stormrage. I propose that AZSHARA's return to Warcraft will mirror Illidan's, who was originally cut short in the Burning Crusade,
I'd fuck with that.
only to return bigger and better than ever as the poster hero of Legion.
And I'm just gonna say it like that's a fractal for Azeroth and Sargeras. I'm gonna say it, bro. Especially if AZSHARA were Illidan's mother. I mean, that would be a bang-on fractal. Like, that would be insane. Azeroth's story, in my opinion. But
the new class it introduced. I think that Midnight will serve as AZSHARA's equivalent to Legion, where the truly epic sorceress finally gets her time to shine. Not as the villain, but the hero.
not as the villain, but the hero. Maybe. I would, maybe. Yeah, that could happen. There's always that subtle threat that she's bad, though, which I think mirrors Azeroth really nicely, too. People are like, I don't really know. What about this darkness, this void song? What about the, should we trust it? Here I am doing the same shit with AZSHARA. I'm like, but would I even trust that bitch? No. But did I trust Locust Walker initially either? No.
Remember AZSHARA's brilliant golden eyes? What if the Prime Naru Zera, in her blind faith of the light, mistook Illidan's Stormrage for the sign she was awaiting, and it was meant to be AZSHARA all along?
Okay, now that's some wild, that's a little bit more in left field there. That's a little bit more in left field. I could see it, though, because why nothing for Malfurion? Even though they're twins. Nothing for Malfurion.
Whereas Illidan rejected the gift, spitting in the face of prophetic heroes, AZSHARA's descent into the watery underworld, the depths of the void, and her heroic return in the light might just prove her to be the prodigal child of shadow and light.
Could be. I think that there's probably multiple children of light and shadow. I think it's probably multiple characters. That's one of the things with the light is that they only see one path, but I don't think that's really how it should be. Like, I think that Erator's a great fit. Anduin is a great fucking fit, honestly. Illidan, to a degree, is a good fit. I think AZSHARA is a good fit, too. Like, Illyria could be. I think that there's definitely an opportunity for multiple. And so sometimes I think that Zera saying, like, it's only one child, you know, it's the child of light and shadow, I think can sometimes be a little misleading, because the whole concept of the light is that they just see one path, you know? And so it's like, well, maybe Zera just saw that it was Illidan, and maybe it's like, maybe that's not really how it works.
As she chases the true throne of power, AZSHARA could learn to master both void and light by discovering the true nature of the very cosmos she was born from and embracing the mother she had been running from all her life, Elune.
I can't get behind the Elune, mother of the cosmos thing. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Video Secrets of Elune, Shadows and Light, we detail the universal theory of Elune being a twofold cosmic entity. She is not just Azeroth's moon, but every moon and every sun. She is the cosmos herself, made up of the physical great dark beyond and the spirit.
Yeah, I just don't. See, I see Azeroth as that, and then Anshe, light and Elune shadow as the thing right down from there, and everything else sprawls out from that. I just can't get behind the Elune Azeroth thing, dude. It's the only thing about these that I don't agree with, which is kind of, it's like one of the core things, but like yeah, I think Elune is part of Azeroth. It's a creation of her. It's probably directly part of her soul, the same way that Anshe is, I think. But I just don't put Elune above everything. Like, RPG lore does have her. It says that she's the one true deity, the one true deity of Azeroth, which is like.
You might ask, is there sufficient evidence to suggest that Elune is more than just a lunar deity? I'd say yes. Newer examples, like the Night Warriors from another planet in Ardenweld, establish that Elune's power is interstellar and is not limited to Azeroth alone. And many old examples as blatant as balance druids utilizing solar, lunar, and star spells.
Yeah, I mean, her twin brother is supposed to be the sun. In the Eyes of the Earth Mother story suggests that Elune is supposed to be the secret power of Anshe. His secret strength, if you will. And then there's Sargeras. So. I just don't, I don't follow Elune. Like, I get it, yeah, balance druids utilize some fire spells, yes. I would assume that the practices of Elune and Anshe, or Musha and Anshe, are in the balance between them is probably something. I mean, I would think that they could both kind of be aware. I mean, they were twins, right? They spent all their time growing up together, as far as we're aware, hunting together, fighting with each other, making weapons, etc. If that's all, to be taken at face value, which it's not, because it's a myth. But I just can't. I can't say that Elune is just like also she's also a solar deity. I don't agree with that. I mean, I feel like the Eyes of the Earth Mother thing is really trying to illustrate that the true balance between those things, between light and day, is twilight. At dawn and dusk, when twilight comes. And twilight is light and shadow. And I don't think that Elune is just responsible for that by herself, because it's on the Dawn Bridge and Twilight Bridge where dawn and dusk's light and dark's colors meet and create the beautiful array of colors in dawn and dusk. I feel like Elune is, in my opinion, Elune is being a little bit overhyped, and too much power is being associated with Elune, and not enough of it is being associated to her twin brother, who we know absolutely nothing about, by the way, with the exception of what's written in these short stories.
Elune's night elf children, the Kaldari,
I edit these in my friend present IRL, and we add gags like this.
Are known as the children of the stars. And of course, what are stars but distant suns?
I don't think that's the case in this game. Some of the stars that we have are cold stars.
Collection of
suns.
Star-related motifs places Elune potentially more as a gravity being more than anything. A true...
Now, I could fuck with the gravity side of things, especially in terms of tides and stuff like that. And I think that the cosmic void and gravity, they go hand in hand real nicely. So if Elune's like shadow or cosmic void and or life, whatever, and also related to like tides, gravity, celestial alignments, I totally am behind all of that. I'm not against that at all. I fuck with that.
Balanced representation of light and shadow in action. As in real-world physics, stars themselves can
that's what you overlaid. Okay. So if I had just went a little bit longer, I would have seen that as well.
become black holes.
That scene was also an owl?
So, what if Azeroth...
Yeah, there's one there too. Yeah.
Why is she called the Earth Mother, and how is Elune related to her? I propose that Azeroth is not just any world soul, but that for all intents and purposes, Azeroth and Elune are the same force. one that inhabits reality and one that encompasses it.
Oh, that's interesting. So he positions Elune more as like the direct conscious inhabitant and observer, and Azeroth as the fabric of the being. That's interesting. Because then at that point you have a direct cosmic manifestation of observance. However, the eyes of the Earth Mother, I feel like, puts a big hole in this, because that's just one eye of the Earth Mother. We're kind of disregarding and ignoring the other eye of the Earth Mother. That's kind of where I keep landing at with this, is that Anshe is kind of not being considered.
Just as Azeroth is an avatar of Elune, born to walk among her Titan children and help maintain the balance of the cosmos,
Then so would Sargeras. Not just all of the Titan Pantheon. Because again, it's very convenient that we believe that Sargeras is just a Titan and just always was, and the fire thing is some kind of accident or downfall.
AZSHARA is a form to walk among mortals, daughters of daughters, the children of shadows and light.
Get behind the thematics here.
Through the whispers of stars and the silence of the void, AZSHARA could uncover truths that have long been feared by even the Titans themselves. In her travels, she learns of the intertwined nature of light and shadow, realizing that her downfall in the quest for power was but a mere reflection of a deeper, universal balance.
I like this take.
And that true power lies in
Yep.
the combination of the two.
Yeah. Not in the individual.
This embrace of the eternal
Agreed.
conflict mirrors the Blue Child's return to the White Lady. As AZSHARA's journey has come full circle, just like the cycle that Elune represents.
I see what you did there.
sheds her hideous, corrupted Naga form, ridding herself of her scarred past, using the very forces that burst creation. Return to the White Lady. As AZSHARA's journey has come full circle, just like the cycle that Elune represents. AZSHARA sheds her hideous, corrupted Naga form, ridding herself of her scarred past, using the very forces that burst creation.
I mean... I mean... Seen it before.
With this renewed form, AZSHARA arises as a balancer and weaver of both the void and the light, finding that the true power she sought so fiercely was back home all along. The world's soul of Azeroth, a nexus of creation and destruction, of astral and physical,
Well
and
said.
of light and shadow. However, the Cosmic Mother, that nascent titan to be, was sought by others as well. And the Void Lord Dementius had their eyes set on Azeroth.
That's fan-made, right? This is all fan-made, your
That
edits.
nascent
Because
titan
that's
to be
cleally...
was sought by others as well.
That's clearly
And
like
the
a
Void
chronomatic
Lord-
anomaly with some gear. I hope that's not... That's... Okay, yeah. That's kind of cool, though. I think it looks kind of sick. I like the crescent moon on the head. Oh, you took the Staff of the Harbinger. I see what you did. That's pretty clever. That's clever. You took that Void Song staff looking thing and you fucking put it on the head. That's cool.
Her new mastery of the light and its natural shadow have garnered her new allies, such as the Ethereals of the Twisting Nether, who she has trained as an elite force of Nethermancers. In an exchange for a home on
I love it, dude.
Azeroth, should they aid in the defense
Just goes
ag-
full fucking... I love this stuff. Because you just like let it fly. I think that's the most fun part. Just like, fuck yeah, dude. Nethermancer's just fucking making shit up, dude. I love it. I think it's like, this is the most fun part of speculation because that's where, I think it's where you get to just be like, okay, we have the base theme here. What's the coolest shit that we could come up with to come off of this? And so I love this type of speculation, dude. It's
of
really
the
fun.
Twisting Nether, who she has trained as an elite
Nethermancers.
force of Nethermancers.
Hell yeah.
In an exchange for a
That's so
home
cool.
on Azeroth,
I'd
should
fuck
they
with that.
aid in the defense against Dementius. The Nethermancer hero class wields the incredible cosmic forces of void and light, weaving
It's called a Discipline Priest. I'm just kidding.
devastating entropic and restorative magics. And the Ethereals, our newest allies and playable race, embody the very essence of resilience and adaptability.
Any idea who Xalatath really is? Yeah. After doing a shitload of research, cross-referencing, story inspiration, study, I've come to the conclusion, I know that this is a crazy one, but she's Xalatath.
So gear up, champions, and step into midnight.
I know.
Not just as
It's crazy.
defenders, but as the pioneers of this new horizon and champions of the eternal
Whoa.
conflict. Thank you so
Good
very
video,
much
dude.
for tuning in to this episode of Knowledge Wars.
I like
where
this
the
one.
Truth isn't just out there.
Not that I
it's
didn't like the
buried
other
under
ones.
layers of perspective-based storytelling and Titan
Hey.
machinery. Remember, folks,
Under
you
layers
are
of
the
perspective-based
resistance to the
storytelling
all-devouring
and Titan
void.
machinery. My man. Yeah, Xaxxas puts out high-quality shit, dude. If you haven't checked this guy's videos out, make sure you do. He and one of the other creators we're going to be watching today they put out pretty insane videos, man. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little jealous. They just make such good videos, so check them out. This fucking King of Diamonds video is so good. Yeah, check him out.